And it's time to find out as we dive into Oregon.
It's looking likely, Jordan. I think you might be on the game for that one, and Fnatic certainly have the advantage going into the final, potentially, map of this series. But Aerowolf, nothing left to lose. I think that's when they'll perform the best. Let's get to Oregon.
That's a really interesting Thatcher ban there from Hero. I believe they're going to try and play Kaed, but I will expect the Fnatic's ban is going to be Kaed. I think they're going to read into the fact that Aero played that so strong yesterday with Mentalist, and the fact they're banning the Thatcher, that's what they want. And here we go. There it is.
So there you go. The perfect read coming in. And look, Aerowolf, they've got to expect, I think, that Kaed ban. And so as a result of this, we have Thatcher gone, but also Kaed gone. So you can still use you can still mute up that hatch with a mute jammer. You don't have to rely on that Kaed, but of course, just the fundamentals of Mute versus Kaed in terms of his loadout, very different. Fnatic much more comfortable playing Mute. They play it all the time, whereas Aerowolf, the thing that they really are good at is using that slug shotgun on the Kaed in the hands of, I believe it was Mental.
Yep.
And, you know, that off the board means it's a bit more of an even footing for these teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit more difficult now if they're going to play a Mute, which it looks like Ysera is going to bring to this Laundry bomb site. It does mean that the Twitch drone will either have to try and make its way down those stairs, or someone will have to physically push down those stairs to shoot those Mute jammers. You could potentially use the Maverick at the hatch as well.
No.
We see a Blitz 6 picked onto by Aces there from the Glaz. Fnatic are really known to do this on Oregon. In fact, when they were playing with Neofighter in their roster, he was a very, very dangerous blitz on this map. So Fnatic look like they're going to lean back onto that strategy, and it's going to be really interesting how Aero are going to try and counter that. We do see Mentalist on the smoke, so he is playing a shotgun. Most likely going to play aggressive, as that's how he liked to play the Kaed yesterday. He was chasing a drone upstairs there, but we see Aero at the moment just setting up a relatively default way for Laundry.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, you were talking about how they would have to put the Twitch drone down the stairs to take out that mute jammer, but they have the Blitz. And we know how good Blitz is at pushing down those main stairs. In fact, Xavier had a pretty good demonstration of how Blitz can be used on this map when they played against Aurglist just yesterday. So, you know, Fnatic do have, I think, everything lined up to take this win. If anything, I would probably just, like, get some more smoke utility instead of that... the Twitch, or just, you know, try something a bit different, I reckon. But, oh well, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, Fnatic going to go for a bit of a standard west clear here from the junkyard spawn. Aces will just open this small tower. He can phase check a lot of this without a drone. Fnatic would have had drones set up early just to watch the rotates to see if anybody entered that side, so they can confidently push through. Lusty will confirm that the kitchen is clear and that the pantry wall is reinforced, so they can generally just take the west side. There is some presence upstairs though near that attic, so Fnatic will have to be careful here. Looks like Aero have some kind of roam plan up their sleeve just to prevent some progress early from Fnatic, and that is something Aero will need to do. If they give too much map control to Fnatic early, then it really favors that Blitz especially. He can push and have a lot of aggression on site with a lot of time for the plant to go down.
So there will be, in fact, a roam. It's Armory, but the problem here is that Hysterics is completely trapped. And as soon as there's a player on that window outside the Armory, Blitz will just be a hammer and anvil to take down Hysterics. Not really much longer that Hysterics can stay alive, surely. I really don't see how this will play out positively for Aerowolf right now.
There's a bit of a bait happening with Attic, though. I think the idea is that they're trying to bait the attackers to push past that Attic wall so that the Attic can get the crossfire, but it's too late. That Blitz has pushed up and is pushing an Armory.
No way!
What a shot from Hysterics. No, Blitz is nullified immediately. 4v5 in favor of Aero with half the round gone. Without that Blitz, that's a really grim position. Magnet will get a frag onto Ysera. That is the mute gone, but a bit late there. And I think this is really going to favor Aero. Hysterics has gone down, so the man advantage is in favor of Fnatic at the moment, but in terms of getting pressure on the bomb side, it will be a bit trickier for Fnatic here.
Yeah, it's a very good point. They've lost their huge pushing force in that blitz, but Aerowolf also lost the more players at the moment with just 3 left. Speakeasy on this roam, still upstairs. He has a lot of information being gathered for him in lieu of that Maestro camera where one of his dead teammate is looking, but Rizraz takes yet another bullet. He's very, very low, unlikely to re-peak this now. He'll try to drone out for his teammate. Not quite sure what the strat is here for Fnatic, but no, as you said, they haven't cleared out that player inside of the tower. They haven't fully cleared out meeting. They don't really have a lot going for them. They're trying to take out this mute jammer so that they can open up this hatch, but everything is just going so slowly.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a really aggressive, chaotic push from Fnatic. And oh my god, a team kill from Speakeasy. That's devastating for Aero. That is going to really stunt their ability to prevent this push. Speakeasy does get a I guess you'd say a trade onto Rizraz and another one onto Virtue. So now it's a 2v2 and all of a sudden Fnatic have lost any form of advantage they had. They're just going to drop onto side and push aggressive down this hallway. Magnet is peaked and downed. It is all up to Lusty. He's peeking through the bomb side. He's tagged low and then finished off. A beautiful play from Aero. Really nice defense there.
Yeah, excellent play, and I think it really all started with picking off that blitz inside of Armory. It makes you wonder, you know, if we had seen Fnatic play a little bit more slowly, if we had seen them chuck an extra drone in there and check inside of the Armory, maybe they would have had more success, but nothing to discredit Aerowolf. They've had a very good start to this map.
Yeah, really good start. And just to get that first round is going to do so much for their confidence. And just to start off with a bit of momentum and to stunt that from Fnatic, we can already see slightly different body language from them compared to the last map. So it's really good for Aero to take that first round, especially the fact that Fnatic tried to bring that blitz. It's a bit of a bully play, so to speak. And to counter that so quickly, yeah, really good for Aero. So good job to them. And we're going to see Fnatic, they're not going to take the blitz this time. They're going to bring a Jackal instead. A bit more stronger use of the smoke utility as opposed to just the push and flash with the blitz.
Yeah, and also a slightly more effective way to clear those roamers. But
sure.
I think the thing is for Aerowolf is, you know, there's always multiple players roaming, and Jackal will just track one of those. And in fact, when you have multiple players on that roam, you actually use the Jackal track to your advantage as a roamer by making the attackers think that, you know, the player whose Jackal tracked has fallen back. You make them think it's clear, and you have a second player in a more surprising position. So Fnatic will have to be very careful, despite having that ability. I think things will be still a bit difficult for Aerowolf. But nonetheless, it's a top floor defense now, and I think that the main thing in terms of roaming that Fnatic will be worried about is this Pulse downstairs who can deny a plant anywhere on the bomb side if he has free reign.
Yeah, you want to talk about denial. Aero have so much denial. They've got the smoke, the echo, and pulse, as well as the mute with the C4. There's so many ways that they can deny the plant and slow down Fnatic here. So Fnatic are going to have to be really careful with the way they push. And if they can get some early picks, that'll really favor the way they can get the execute done. We are seeing Fnatic take from the tower. Yeah, they're going to try and take that tower and then push across from the attic. So probably a kid's bedroom plant is the ultimate goal. Potentially depends how this clear goes. We do see one playing top of tower, so Fnatic trying to clear that out right now. And as we say that, it's because he is rotating out. He does re-peek that window, and he gets the frag onto Rizraz. And a nice shot from Hysterics as well, getting Virtue. It's beautifully played by Aero, and this is looking really good for them so far.
It's a great read from Aerowolf so far. Two players inside of the tower doing a lot of work, and as well Hysterics on that roam too. But Fnatic may well get a refrag or two. Speakeasy is the first to go down, but Luna's still doing some serious damage upstairs in the tower, and he hasn't been flushed out. Hysterics as well to come back up. What? Ooh. That should never have happened for Mentalist, but he's just feeling so good right now. He's had such a good performance on Coastline despite his team failing, and now it's just Aces left. He's been a good player thus far, but he has 4 to find, and I don't know if this is possible.
Yeah, it looks like Aero have perfectly read this. They're just going back to site. They're not going to try and contest him. They have such a solid man advantage, so all they have to do is just prevent him being able to get onto that side and get a multi-pick.
Oh, no.
He's going to try and ult walk up these stairs, the white stairs that is, and he's peeking the bomb site now. He does read that someone is potentially that hallway, but he's not going to see it, and the Echo Drone will stun him, so he's going to have to push back down. He's decided to piece out of there, and he's going to try and think about a different way to play. He's running to the bus. It's not going to take you anywhere. Ace is just stuck here, mate. He's just going to prone here and generally talk to his team, potentially going to just regather themselves ready for the next round, Dev.
Well, you know, free tactical timeout, right? You have literally a minute left, and you may as well. I guess Aces, you can. Like, let's have a look at the. This is where you don't look at the screen. This is where you look in the bottom left, and you see who's talking. I can see Lusty right now.
I can see Magnet also giving people some eyes.
So, I mean, this looks boring, but actually we can really read into what's happening here. So, Lusty and Magnet, you can see on the far end of the table from us, you know, turning down, having a chat to the rest of the team. Ace is just having a listen now. He's the last one alive, but, you know, see, Virtue's now having a bit of a conversation. He's jumping into it as well. So, they're talking about what went wrong, and I think from Ace's perspective, you know, he didn't actually get to see a lot of the action, so this is a good opportunity for the rest of the team to talk about that, explain what's happening, and now Ace has 30 seconds to go. I think maybe he's decided, he's decided that they've had their tactical timeout, they don't need any more time, and he'll just jump into the building and die. That's the end of the round, and a really great one for Aerowolf. Yeah,
that was actually a really strong round from Aero. That tower presence and the plays that they did together, so strong to get those early frags. Really well played to them. And we should also point out that while Fnatic used that as a chance to time out, I saw Luna also talking to his team quite intently, so he was making sure that the mindset wasn't lost on their side either.
I think that's really important as well, because it can be really unsatisfying. You know, you have a really strong round, and then you sit there and you wait for 2 minutes. It's like playing a casual game.
Yeah.
And I think that can really get to you a little bit sometimes. And so it's good. I think that, no expectations. This guy's just feeling happy right now. Just chilling out, and in fact bringing the Blitz, sorry, not the Blitz, the Clash, other shield operator, to this defense of the kitchen, which, look, I think that's a pretty good, it worked out for them on the their previous match against C9, and it may well work here.
Yeah, I think Clash on most of the bomb sites on this map, not particularly helpful to play, but she can be quite strong in this dining, just putting a lot of pressure around showers. We saw it played well earlier, and I like that Aero bringing it here. Also with that Maestro is a really critical operator for this bomb site. You need those evil eyes for a lot of that intel, especially the way teams like to plant once they clear that small tower and open that wall. So we'll see how Fnatic decide to attack this. It looks like there's potentially going to be some Aero players playing in that showers room just to slow down that attack from Fnatic. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting map, Dev. It looks strong for Aero so far.
And that's really what we were hoping for, a close match between these two teams. This is the last chance for Australia and New Zealand, and the last chance for Singapore, or Southeast Asia, in fact, as a whole, to make it to Milan. And of course, both of these teams will be wanting to represent their region alongside Norengo at that event. But just touching on Fnatic for a second and talking about that, pseudo-tactical timeout that they had, where they had an extra minute at the end of that previous round to chat about things. It's actually, same pattern as what we saw in the previous map. Fnatic had a really good, first 2 rounds, and then it was just Aerowolf. They took their tactical timeout, and straight away they started, they got 1 round, and then they got another one later on as well. So I think that tactical timeout, that it wasn't an actual timeout, that pseudo-tactical timeout, it will help Fnatic a lot. And it's nice that now they actually still have that one in the pocket if they want to use it later, say if we head to overtime.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Looking at this setup, we did see that hatch from upstairs open, so it looks like Aero might try to get some kind of free roam upstairs to try and get some picks as Fnatic set themselves up around that small tower. Some shots going on to this Clash here, but Clash isn't going to be too worried about that. Just going to stay nice and chill in the showers behind the lockers there. Luna playing a nice position behind that shield in dining, not feeling too much pressure at this stage either. We will see Magnet taking out these bandit charges so they can start attacking this small tower wall. This is open nice and early, then Aero are going to have to think about a lot of different things to stall out this attack, because those plants can come down quite quick once that wall is open. The showers is actually unoccupied at this stage. Yseri is close in the hallway. He is going back over there now just to make sure that Fnatic don't take it for free. And it's a nice shout out from Aero at the moment with half the round gone.
I also want to point out, Fnatic, they lost... Oh, wait, this is a run out from Mentalist. And there is a player, in fact. He managed to take down Rizraz for free. No attempted refrag, and that was a really well-placed camera from Aerowolf as well. Fnatic, though, have made some progress on the bomb site. We saw Magnet clearing out those bandit batteries. No Thatcher isn't a problem for Fnatic, as they will just flex onto the Maverick and do the same job. But now they've opened up some of the wall as well with their Hibana and have an avenue into the bomb site.
Yeah, and this Clash has been tagged up in an engagement here. He's still going to hold this Showers position, which is really strong because Fnatic do need to be able to cover from Showers just to prevent the free roam from Aero to deny plant in the hallway and just around that area of the map in general. We see some stuns coming out to burn these ADSs so that they can start potentially thinking about this execute, but it's looking a bit sketchy for Fnatic at the moment. They haven't been able to really do much with bomb side. They've opened that wall and they've tagged a couple of the Aerowolf players up, but in terms of progress, not too much has been made.
And I think this Clash is also still being a hindrance for Fnatic. Luna Metal as well, taking down Magnet now, so just 3 players left for Fnatic. They're trying to find picks. They're waiting, and they're trying to, hope that Aerowolf will fall into their crosshairs. And it's an aggressive peek from both Virtue and Aces that finds the first opening for Fnatic. Even numbers now, and Fnatic tries to force down this plant, but they know it won't work just yet. Mental lets a C4 missed, and the plant is still going down. The Clash is off the board. Where's the info gathering? Oh. No, it's a push-up from Mentalist. It finds one, but there's just 1 player left for Aerowolf, but 3 seconds on Fnatic's side. All up to Lusty now as Virtue tries to plant down. Speakeasy needs to deny this plant, but Lusty with the good cover for Fnatic.
Really well played there off the back of some aggression from Virtue and Aces. They really tore that round open. They were a bit stalled out and they didn't take much pressure, but Fnatic, once Virtue got that frag down the hallway, Ace was able to push in and get the diffuser where it needed to be. Mental is so close for getting that round for his team. If he hadn't got fragged out at that last moment, they might have been able to hold it, but yeah, good read from Fnatic at the end with their execute and well played from them.
And I think it shows some good, cool, calm and collected play from Fnatic to come back from that numbers deficit and even it up and eventually clutch, in that scenario. So I'm impressed to see the way that they handled that situation. Because you were saying, you know, they maybe hadn't taken as much ground as they needed to. They hadn't disabled a lot of these key positions. And in the end, they managed to accomplish these kinds of goals in very quick succession all at once. And I think that kind of, all right, guys, we're in behind. We just need to start making some plays. That kind of attitude and that the ability to, you know, act on that works really well for Fnatic.
Definitely agree there, and we're going to see Aero go back down to this laundry bomb site now that it is finally unlocked again. Fnatic won't have the blitz this time, so we'll see how they approach it with the Jackal instead. Aero with the same lineup as last time, so we're going to see a pretty similar hold come out of them. It was very successful last time. I wouldn't expect them to change too much, but do some subtle adaptations to what Fnatic might do. Yeah,
and something that worked really well for Aerowolf in the previous time was gathering that information on the top 4. We can see, once again, reinforcements on Armory, which means you have to actually enter the Armory to kill the player who's playing there for the most of the time. We'll have likely a Evil Eye camera inside of the attic, as we did last time, and a lot of rotations and peek holes all the way across. And we saw Speakeasy in the previous round with that ACOG as well, peeking all the way from... Actually, wait, is that Maestro device looking through the floor, potentially? Do you think that you can get an angle there onto the hatch to deny them Hibana pellets?
It might be able to, yeah. You might be right there, Dev.
That's really cool. I really hope we actually get to see that happen. But you know, that's quite an obscure play for Aerowolf if they can put it off. But as you can see, Fnatic are very keen to clear out this top floor, likely before they attempt to push on down and open up that hatch. And you know, they do have the utility to disable the Maestro camera as well, such as, you know, even the Maverick Blowtorch will get the job done if they can get close enough.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Fnatic have just made this decision to attempt to try and push out this roam. I wondered whether they might try to actually push from construction or even through like the bunker, but it looks like we are just going to see them contest this here as they're pushing from the south side. Magnet is making his way over the top of that attic towards tower. There is one playing in tower, so if he's not too careful, that tower player could just hit that window open and get him. He's in a good position at this stage. That is Speakeasy in the tower on the Maestro, so he does have an ACOG on that Older. He can get some nice long angles there. He is on cameras as well, so he's just waiting for somebody to be in his line of sight there. Magnet holding a bit of a flank there for his team.
Speakeasy may well have the information on Magnet, actually, because of that Valkyrie camera. I think that's the one thing that Magnet has going for him in this position is I think he's, you know, his position is unaware of. But as soon as Speakeasy spots him on that camera, this could be a free kill for the Maestro device. Magnet completely unaware. He's cautious. There are multiple windows, but not the one that Speakeasy is, in fact, looking at. Speakeasy peeks out. He may well see Magnet. He takes off his head. That's the Maverick gone down. It'll be much more difficult to clear out those Maestro devices, much more difficult to destroy the mute jammers on the hatch, and Fnatic are a step behind once again.
Yeah, and some great patience from Speakeasy. He was aware of Magnet's position for quite a long time. He probably coordinated teammates to get on that cam for him to give him that go signal, and he took a little while to peek it, but he finally got there, and he got the headshot straight away, so really well played. Hysterics again in this army position. Very dangerous position. He's tagged quite low, and he's got Fnatic players all around him, so we'd expect him to not survive this for too much longer. Again, though, it's less than a minute to go, and he's still just sitting here wasting a lot of time for Fnatic, and at the same time, Rizraz has been fragged out by Ysera, so Fnatic have gone down to a 3v5, 3v4 now, but Hysterics has done a great job. There's 40 seconds to go, and now Fnatic can finally start actually thinking about focusing on an execute. So it's all going to be very chaotic for them, and that definitely favors Aero. They still have the smoke and potentially 2 C4s left for denial.
But Fnatic decide that it's time to just blitz on into the bomb site. Aces pushes in, but he's the first victim of Mentalist. Ysera jumps in. SMG-11's all round. Just Lusty remaining, and he's being picked once again. Ysera, the Singaporeans, stepping right up into this match.
And I talked about body language earlier, and looking at Aero's body language, Ed has changed in such a positive way. They look so confident. They're sitting up strong. Glenn looks really pumped. We see him hitting the dash there. He's hyped up. Look at this. Really good from Aero. They're playing inspired here, and I think Fnatic are going to have to start thinking about potential timeout because they need to stunt this momentum.
Yeah, and look, like right after they had that minute to talk at the end of that round, the pseudo timeout, they won the next one. They had time to talk about it, and then they won it. Now, you know, tactical timeout might help them even more again. But, you know, they're taking some time. I think that they might think, all right, let's just finish off our attacking half and then use it on our defense. But, I don't know, is that too late?
Depends how this round plays out. If Aero can take the 4-2 advantage, I think that's quite strong on Oregon. I think Oregon's relatively balanced in the way it goes with defender-attacker. Sometimes we'll see it favor defenders, but some of these bans, I think, actually equalize it. So I think if Aero secure this round, it's going to be pretty grim for Fnatic. They're going to want to stop the bleeding. They want it to get to 5-1. They want to try and get this half for at least a 4-2, obviously a 3-3 if possible. So yeah, they're going to have to start adapting to what Aero is doing a lot better than they have been.
I think it's a reasonably safe bet for Fnatic to say that they'll win on Kitchen or on the tertiary bomb site for Aerowolf, but it's these the top floor, the dorms, and the laundry that they really need to break through, and they haven't managed to do that so far, which is, you know, surprising to see, because I would have thought that Fnatic are a team that often have really good reads onto setups, but Aerowolf have been playing, you know, it's not overcomplicated, their defense downstairs. It's just, you know, a very specific roam. There are key anchor points that Aerowolf are holding on to get the job done, and Fnatic find it very difficult to deal with each and every one of those obstacles. Now that we're coming to a Dorms defense, I really do expect Fnatic to, well, the Fnatic that I know is a Fnatic that is much more happy to and comfortable just, you know, doing this work, and I really would like to see that, you know, countering these obstacles. I think that we can see Fnatic improve here.
Yeah, we're going to see them potentially push the master bedroom. Magnet took a very aggressive, fast position up to that balcony, and he's going to potentially push in and start clearing some of those denial off the wall so they can get that open.
Well, I think that's a key thing here, right? Like last time, Fnatic fell apart trying to take tower and go for what we assume would be a kids windows push, but this time the push has completely changed.
Yeah, and it's a good read. I think instead of trying to push the roam, which is what they have with most of their attacks, they're just going straight to site. They're doing what they want to do, and Riz is pushed into a nice position here just to hold this. Any aggression that could come from that doorway, Riz has covered right now. So if they wish to just try and take the wall straight away, they can. And yeah, again, it's a good choice from Fnatic to decide to actually ignore the potential roam this time.
Yeah, Aerowolf are really well set up for a tower hold. You know, they have Luna Metal up the top. He can peek outside the windows onto B windows or any roam out that side. And he has those echo drones as well for information. But, you know, Fnatic, if they don't push there, then Luna Metal, it'll be a very difficult rotate back to side. Fnatic, though, if they do go for this push, they will have to deal with any kind of downstairs vertical pressure. That's why Rizraz is now standing on top of the bed. He doesn't want to get C4'd through the floor.
Yeah, and actually there's not too much like downstairs denial from Aero. Hysterics will get a frag onto Virtue. That's the Zofia down, and that's a man advantage to Aero ahead of this execute. That's well played by them. Ysera's the only one with a C4 on the team of Aero, so in terms of downstairs denial, not too much they could do. They still have smoke grenades up there, and we're going to see one of those come out right now just to slow that push in the hallway. Fnatic do have that wall open into the small dorm, so they can be ready to execute there if they wish anytime soon.
Still a minute to work with as well, Fnatic, just holding these flanks. They know that Aerowolf have a heavy downstairs presence. Oh, okay, there you go. Rizraz on the back of a drone, just getting a good entry onto Speakeasy. The Jaeger gone down, and this is really when Luna Metal has to think about making a rotation back to site, but that's being perfectly cut off from these Fnatic players. So they're actually poised in a really good position for this execute as 40 seconds drop on the clock.
Yeah, Ace is just trying to prepare his run in through this breach. Rizraz still at that doorway. They're going to wait for the rest of the team to be ready for some kind of execute. I wonder if potentially those players downstairs might try to push up wide and just to give some assistance to those trying to actually execute this play. We do see one at the double window now, so Fnatic do have the bomb site quite surrounded. One will push in. Mentalist will frag Rizraz. And Aces will find Hysterics. Mentalist onto Lusty. It's a 2v3 in favor of Aero now with 13 seconds to go. This is definitely in favor of Aero. It's going to be quite chaotic for Fnatic as they push onto site. Magnet pushing deep to try to get some frags here. He knows one is on white stairs. Oh, he's fragged, and Aero closed it out. A strong round from them on defense in the end.
SMG 11s all round for Aerowolf. Both the mute and the smoke doing some serious work. And I've been really impressed by Aerowolf. It was such a good position for Fnatic. You know, they had this downstairs rotations cut off. Luna Metal had no chance to rotate over from tower, and they already had the numbers advantage and some frags. But Fnatic still couldn't disable some of those key positions, and Mental was just allowed to peek out of kids' dorms onto that main door from the hallway. And I don't understand how this is happening for Aerowolf. But Fnatic, you know, they put themselves in these really good positions. They just couldn't capitalize and move forward to the next step.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see Aero go to that tertiary bomb site, as you said, the third bomb site, which is Kitchen Dining Hall. It was a close round last time. It's not like Fnatic actually monstered them, and it was a very last-minute push as well. So this could still definitely go in favor of Aero. I've got to say, if it goes 5-1 to Aero, as I was saying before, Fnatic need to do a timeout. It's starting to look very heavy momentum towards Aero, and they're going to want to stop that if they've got any chance of making the comeback while they're on defense. Ysera has stuck the clash pick again. It was quite helpful for them with intel down the hallway and to slow down that take of showers.
That said, you know, they didn't actually manage to find any kills around that clash. There was no players peeking behind it and taking a frag onto Fnatic, but it did slow them down a lot. Another thing that I think will slow them down in this round would be Aerowolf picking that Echo. And I think last time we actually saw a Maestro, and I don't know, like, I think there is a bit of something to be said for both of the operators, but unless if Rizraz can use the IQ scanner to take out that Echo, I actually think that Aerowolf have made the right decision here.
Yeah, I agree. And if Rizraz doesn't find it early with the IQ scanner, then yeah, it definitely plays into the favor of Aero. We did see Rizraz tagged out early last time with an aggressive run out from Mentalist on that Valkyrie. It was really well played by him. They are going to take small towers quite early. There is no presence here, which is quite standard for this defense. Magnet will repel in and start surrounding this bomb site. He will open the floor of that wall so that he can clear these charges. And it's really good progress already from Fnatic. There's not too much work to take that small tower, but they're going to have to do with this clash at some stage.
I also like the fact that, Fnatic have brought quite a few stun grenades. Oh, Ysera, is he really going to peek this? Surely not. Magnet needs to get this angle. Oh, but Ysera misses the opportunity. He knows that it was a risk, but it's time to get back. It's not going to work out to get that free kill this time around, but elsewhere, Rizraz has taken a little bit of damage, and as we said, Rizraz picked off early on this round the previous time we saw this bomb site, and he is a key player on these entries and also for denying a lot of the utility from Aerowolf, especially the information gathering utility. So it'll come down to some strong gunfights. Fundamental attempting to peek out, but he decides better of it. Magnet as well, now very cautious of this top floor presence as he attempts to push in from big windows, see if he can catch out any players from Aerowolf upstairs. He
did see one rotate across that hallway there. He just managed to not find the shots. He's going to try and hold this angle, and he gets the shots off, but he only lifts it up. And Luna with a nice shot onto Magnet. Oh, it's beautifully played by Aero there, and now they have the man advantage going into this final minute of the round. Ysera still on full HP as the clutch, and Fnatic all around this small tower. They're going to have to figure out what they can do to try and get some more footholds so they can get ready for this execute.
There's been a lot of close rounds here on Oregon, but Aerowolf are decisively in control of the map, but Lusty starts to reply and takes down the Jaeger of Lunar Metal. That's one player off the board, but not really any dint into the utility economy for Aerowolf. As we head down to the last minute of the round, Fnatic still only have 4 players, as do Aerowolf, and the Clash still alive, well, and gathering so much intel onto this bomb site. Taking a little bit of damage, though, now. This is becoming a less and less comfortable position for Aerowolf to play, but Fnatic are the ones who have to make the move here.
And last time it was Virtue. Virtue was the one that made the aggressive play down the hallway last time. So if Aero can read that, and actually Mentalist is in a really aggressive position in the showers here. I'm not too sure they know about it because Lusty just freely hit that window, not really thinking about the fact he could have been peaked. So Mentalist could be the playmaker here. We do see a Fnatic player pushing the hallway. It's been picked out by the Clash there, so he is stunted. One of them has pushed into Dining. It looks like it is the Hibana. They're going to have to try and go for this execute with 10 seconds to go. Plant is going down, but it can be denied here.
No way. Is he going for it? He goes for the run out. He'll rotate. He takes down one player, but the plant goes down. This is a huge oversight potentially. But there's the retake from Aerowolf. They close out that round and win the half 5-1. The studio, for once in an APAC land, they're supporting the Singaporeans instead of the Australians.
That was an excellent play from Mentalist, and we called it there that he hadn't been droned out. He was completely in a really dangerous, aggressive position that Fnatic were unaware of, and that flank was so well timed, and the information just couldn't come to Fnatic quick enough. He was able to just take it to himself.
Yeah, and here we see this full retake. And something I'd like to point out as well is Mentalist actually he was holding that angle onto that double doorway from inside of showers. He would have seen the player push up, I think it was Rizraz, aggressively and cross his line of sight. But he decided, no, I'm not going to shoot this player now because then they'll be aware of my position and the player in tower will be aware of my flank. He held his aim. And then he made the rotate and he made the big play that was necessary, a quick 3K.
Yeah, I really like that from Mentalist. He held that so well. He played it really smart, and I think that's the critical point, is that he played it smart. So.
Mental is really, like, the rest of Aerowolf maybe still warming up, but Mentalist, both on map #1, especially, I think he was the player who had shown up for me.
Yeah. We're going to see Fnatic here on their defense half. Now they're starting off with the Laundry defense. An interesting pick here is Virtue on the Castle. It's not a common pick for the Laundry. Sometimes if you hold meeting, you might use the Castle just to slow down the take of meeting if you want to hold that comfortably. But other than that, yeah, this is an interesting pick from them.
Yeah, it's something we see occasionally. I know it's not super common, but we have seen some good meeting room holds, like from Xavier, for example, in the quarterfinals yesterday. Didn't have so much luck today, but in the quarters they did a pretty good job. And oh, okay, so Fnatic have a lot of presence upstairs as well, and you can see actually some holes above those main lobby stairs. Means that if Aerowolf attempt to push down and they don't clear out above, Fnatic will be able to flank and take out many players. In fact, even if Aerowolf do clear out above, Fnatic have all of these rotations available, whether it's through meeting hall or through the attic, to actually retake that position. And we've talked about this a lot yesterday when we were casting the Fnatic game. Name a more iconic duo, Fnatic and retakes.
Yeah, you're definitely right there, Devin. It's going to be really interesting how Aero try to read this. They might try to push this roam and clear it out, or they might try to just completely ignore it in through construction. It's going to be a really tough push regardless. There's so many rotates back to site that Fnatic could use, and as you were saying, a way to retake it, we do see Hysterics push this top floor here. They've got this castle in their way, and they've got a drone underneath just trying to get that intel. The Jackal can get the feed, but there's a mute jammer also in his way. He's going to get this scan, and he's aware of the castle's position now in attic. Aero are going to have to make some quick decisions here, whether they're going to actually try to push this or whether they're going to do something else.
Yeah, you do have to really decide quite early how you'll use your utility to deal with these castle barricades, especially since for Aerowolf, we only have the Hibana and the Zephyr that can really actually take down those castle barricades, aside from just hitting them 12 times, which takes a huge amount of time.
Absolutely. And yeah, the utility you have to use to clear those, I think, is a lot, and you might want to use those to actually formulate a better execute. So it looks like Aero are essentially mostly ignoring this roam. We've got 3 of them pushing into the front here. There's a failed breach charge there?
No, it's a pre-placed breach charge. There may well be a signal disruptor on that window. I think that's probably most likely, but otherwise, Aerowolf are keeping it in their pocket as long as possible. Lunametal, he is completely unable to progress forward from here because of the various crossfires available, but Aerowolf just have a flurry of kills now, taking down 2, and there's a 3rd injure. This is a really good position for Aerowolf right now. They're up so many on the round count, and even Fnatic moving on to their defense of the most preferred bomb site. Can't do anything. Aces goes for an aggressive play, but it doesn't work out. Now the last one is Magnet on this roam inside of attic, but it doesn't seem to be working out for him. Rotates down to the meeting hall. Aerowolf have so many numbers, and they even have that Montaigne left. This is just adding insult to injury at this point if Aerowolf can close this out, but Fnatic start it pretty good with 1 kill, but I mean, like, really, no utility to speak of. Yes, Jaeger has a good gun, but there's nothing really that Magnet can do here.
On top of that, he's got a Montaigne he has to deal with as well, so even if he can get it down to a 1v1, it is a Montaigne, but to no avail. Hysterics will close that out for Aero, and they move to match point in a really strong position at 6-1.
This is way more dominant than the first map. In fact, you know how dominant this is, Raven? This is as dominant as Aerowolf versus Cloud9.
That's very true.
That's how dominant this is, guys.
Very true.
We're talking big time. This is a potential 7-1 on the cards for the Singaporeans. And it's funny, really, because you and I were talking about the head-to-head results so far from these 2 teams going up against each other, the most recent time of which was 1 year ago here in the ESL studios in Sydney at the APAC Season 7 finals. And the map number 1 was a tight game between the 2. Map number 2 was a 5-0. That because it was first to 5 at the time, but it was a 5-0. For Aerowolf. And here we're seeing a repeat of that, a very dominant play on map number 2, potentially looking to spearhead us onto the 3rd.
Yeah, and actually, did we just see a 6-pick onto a Cav coming out?
Just Magnet things?
I'm sure that's what we saw. Rizraz, in fact, on the Cav for this upstairs bomb site. It's a very strange pick from Fnatic, but they're definitely trying to make something happen here. It's the time that you will take risks, and you want those risks to pay off. So. That's ballsy.
It is. And look, it's also, I guess, harks over a little bit to the Southeast Asia Pro League, where Aerowolf, as we've said, didn't have a great performance this season. But you know who did in the Southeast Asia Pro League? Xavier. How does Xavier play? Very unexpected, all about team chemistry, whip out very unpredictable individualistic strategies. And I think with Fnatic, playing that Cavieri is very much the Xavier kind of play style. And it's something that Aerowolf has struggled to deal with all season. And it may well work for Fnatic right when, the chips are down.
Yeah, and Magnet looks like he might even be going for an aggressive spawn peek here. This is something that Magnet often likes to do when they're in these risky situations. He will bail out of it, though, relatively quick, though. Doesn't want to expose himself for too long unnecessarily. He will rotate back through meeting. Lusty is at the front door at this stage, but he is also rotating back up, so not contesting any of this early push from Aero at this stage. It looks like Aero might want to take Master Bedroom. They're aware that there's potentially somebody up there. That is Magnet again, but he's leaving that position. So Fnatic constantly moving, trying to play a little bit unpredictable with how they're going to deal with this roam. Rizraz as the Cav. He's over near the big tower. Do Aero know that he's there? Do Aero know that they have the cav?
Yeah, well, that's one of the punishing things about bringing that Jackal is they may well look for footprints and see that Rizraz hasn't produced any and assume that that means an area is clear. But of course, it'll be a perfect opportunity for Rizraz to execute a surprise flank. In fact, Fnatic can bait this out a little bit. Magnet can start having a bit of presence in meeting hall. They can scan Magnet. Magnet goes downstairs. Aero will think it's clear, but nope, the Cav's not going to have an impact. Speakeasy takes him down without too much trouble fairly early in the round, and only 1 minute off the board. Look at the health damage onto Fnatic right now. A whole player down, and also Magnet just below half HP. Okay, this is a very aggressive position for Magnet, but I'm pretty sure Lunametal is going to find this one fairly easily. Wait.
Oh, no,
Luna.
he's missed it. Luna has missed Magnet's position.
Oh, there you go.
Such unfortunate timing for Magnet. That could have been very grim, and now he's fragged out by Speakeasy. Magnet missed the opportunity of a life. Aces has fragged out Luna, so it's a 3v4 now. Mentalist will take out Aces though, 2v4. We have just half the round played out, and it's looking very strong for Aero. They look like they're going to close this out.
Oh, wow. That's the majority of the roam gone down, but on top of that, Speakeasy through the B windows managed to take down Lusty. It's just Virtue left, and he whiffs his shots onto Ysera. A lot of players to take down now, and his position is completely exposed. He'll try to take this peek against Speakeasy. Sorry, that's Hysterics, and he takes him down. He gets re-peeked now by Mentalist, and Aerowolf take the map against Fnatic, 7-1.
Wow, that was an absolutely insane effort from Aero, and listen to the cheers of the crowd and the cheers of Aero. A big map for them.
I don't believe it, guys. How on earth does that happen again? We've got a Aerowolf map victory that's gone 7-1. They had 2 last night against Cloud9. Seems like that's their lucky number.
The 3 most dominant games in this entire tournament so far have been from Aerowolf. 7-1, the team that it was a miracle to even get here in the first place, and yet they pull off the most dominant scorelines.
And now they're doing it against one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant team within the APAC region, although you guess you could definitely argue that's Norengo. Still, regardless, this is no mean feat from Aerowolf, particularly given the fact that coming into this tournament, like you say, not only did they only scrape by on the skin of their teeth, but they were a team that we really thought probably had almost no chance, not only in their quarterfinal, but now in this semi-final. So fantastic performance from Aerowolf. And to be honest, very surprising. Like, I had no faith. I had no faith after that first map. I was like, look, this is a 2-0. We're going to be in the final. We'd be in the final already at this point in my mind. But Aerowolf, they seem to have this ability to come back into it. And you guys were even saying, like, Oregon was a little bit up in the air here for both of these two teams. But maybe that played out in the hands of Aerowolf.
Potentially, and one thing that surprises me the most is Coastline. Aero didn't really play that aggressive self that we've seen out of them, especially yesterday. They played really nice aggression. So Coastline, they were really passive. And so that was my biggest concern coming into Oregon, is that they wouldn't match the pace they had yesterday with that aggression, but they really turned it up. Like, the aggression they had in Oregon was huge, and I think that's what really won them the map.
And aside from the playstyle itself, I mean, before this match, we were talking about how this map was a bit of a dark horse for both of these teams, neither of them showing it in the Pro League so far this season. But the thing that really was a highlight for me with Aerowolf, not just the aggression, but the pre-setups, the strategies. The things that they brought to the table, where they would play one player in Big Tower with the ACOG, and they had these, you know, a player hard holding inside of Armory. These far-reaching setups, these unusual strategies that Fnatic weren't used to dealing with, worked so well for Aerowolf because Fnatic couldn't overcome these obstacles.
Now, to be fair, at the start of this series, we did sort of theorize that this could actually go all the way to map 3. So far, so good for you guys on the desk. But Consulate coming up next, I mean, that is definitely one that at least you, Raven, I felt like kind of lent a bit more towards Fnatic.
Yeah, historically, Fnatic have just always had good results on Consulate. They're quite a strong team on Consulate. It's one that just favors the way they play, and I'm not too sure how Aero are going to handle that.
I mean, yeah, if you look at the results, right? Fnatic have a lot of wins on the map. They hardly ever ban it. Aerowolf, it's their worst map in terms of just the results in the last season. It's the map that they have lost the most times, and they have the least wins. It's not looking good for them.
Not looking good, potentially pretty grim, but maybe they didn't even, or we didn't even expect them to be here. I'm not going to say they didn't deserve to be here, because they most certainly do, but we still have one more map to go. We're going to have to head to a break. I wouldn't go too far, though, because this series is really just heating up.